So I finished another commission project, and I thought I would share the process work from start to finish in case any of you out there are interested in just finding out what the process for completing specifically a book cover commission entails and my approach to it. I've made a video on this process in the past. This one is similar. Of course, it was a different client and they wanted to see a different type of cover. They wanted a wraparound with this one. So this is an interesting take on doing the cover work that I generally do. So I thought I'd share it with you guys. So it started again, as always, with a brief interview discussion with my client. And this was yet another project where the client had a strong idea of what they wanted to see. And my client had actually given me a very rough sketch in an email of the elements that you wanted to see, the core elements. So this open door, it's a hotel room door into a background scene of trees burning on a hill, and an element of smoke coming out of the doorway. And then you can see the spine. I hadn't even figured out the text font yet. Neither had my client. So at this stage, we were just playing with layout. And you can see here on the back cover, it's a sci-fi cyberpunk epic book. So this woman is supposed to be like an AI program, and she's smoking, and the smoke travels up here across the text through the spine and then into the open door. So that was a really cool feature that links the back, front, and spine together. So yeah, again, this is actually the size of the book when it's published. So I was able to fit this on an 8.5 by 11, which was kind of cool this time, just to see how the actual book would look before it's printed. And of course, being mindful of text margins, the margins for cropping when they start to print it. And then, so my client was happy with that, and they let me have a little free rein on just making the design pop further. So I had the idea to really bring the sci-fi element immediately to the viewer's eye. So I thought, let's put a star field behind everything in the empty space. And even, to account for the cropping, the margin cutoff there, it would still show up. So I thought that was a cool way to kill two birds with one stone, accounting for the negative space and introducing the theme of the book immediately. So when a reader looks at it on the shelf, and especially with the spine, it's going to, create that, it's going to catch attention and create that kind of intrigue for this particular type of book. Yeah, so what I did after this phase, I got approved for the final pencil roughs, and I penciled the back cover, spine, and front cover out, and then I inked them. And you can see now this ink job, it's clean, but it's not perfect in any sense. And I knew it wasn't going to be the final. I wasn't going to get away with scanning this in and just coloring it. I knew I'd have to do a lot of touching up and cleanup, which I did do digitally. So I did use a ruler to put in these elements here, but the text, I wrote it in because I knew I'd clean it up with the program I use. I use GIMP. It's a very similar program to Photoshop. I'd recommend Photoshop before GIMP if you can get away with, actually GIMP is free, Photoshop costs, but you don't get as rich a color variation using GIMP when you go to print. So you have to be careful with that. Generally Photoshop is my go-to, but I could get away with GIMP this time. GIMP, I just find it simpler. I started using GIMP in my professional career, so it's just kind of my go-to, and I use it as often as I can. I like to use it for my own personal projects, but it's each their own. But just remember, Photoshop is fully equipped, especially for professional printing purposes. So yeah, you can see it's messy here. The smoke element here, it's not perfectly clean, and I decided not to fix it here because I'd fix it in the final digital stage. I was plotting in trees. These trees are meant to be on fire, and you'll see in the final digital image that I achieved that, and I think it came out nicely. I actually took a white gel pen and plotted in all these stars just to see how it would look. And I actually wasn't happy when I scanned it in because these weren't as clean as they should have been. So I actually just erased them digitally and put them back in manually by hand, and it didn't take nearly as long as it might look like it did, but it's still, it was good to do this. I mean, next time I know I don't have to do that if I was ever to do this again. But yeah, that was that. And then of course the back cover, I left this area blank, of course, for the text, and play with the Starfield. I actually ended up moving this figure in closer, as you'll see. And yeah, it's a matter of, you know, even spacing things out, thinking you have the layout down, it's not always going to be perfect, especially when you go to the final phase. The final phase that I go to is the scan and then the cleanup, the digital cleanup, and adding color elements if the client requests those features. So then you can see I did the spine. Usually do the spine on the same page as the back cover. And you can see, now this was pretty close to the final product. And again, the smoke it's rough here. The lettering isn't perfect, but I just want to get it in so I could use it as a guide when I'd be finalizing it digitally. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys now the final product a bit closer up here. So I hope there's no glare. You can see, so this is the full wraparound. You've got the back, spine, and front together, and you can see how that smoke element worked out. It transitions seamlessly through the spine and into the front door, this hotel room door, and then there's more smoke emerging from it, but it's leading towards this fire scene in the background. And you can see closer up here, there's the front cover. And the colors were chosen by my client specifically. They wanted to see these colors, you know, for the wallpaper, the door, the floorboards. There's the spine, you can see. And now it's usually something to be mindful of. You don't want to use too many colors when you are coloring in font on a book. Usually it's 1 or 2. I took the liberty of making 3 just to really bring out that I wanted the colors to pop. And I thought, especially on the front cover, I don't have the full spectrum on there. I'm missing purple, but the other colors are evident: orange, red, blue, green. And I thought it just looked really nice, especially on the spine, just for catching attention. You've got the red, red for the title, which is, it's high energy, it's grabbing. And then an ode to the front cover with the flame. And then the author's name in blue, and just presenting it as a novel in green. And for me personally, I think it just looks interesting, and it's cool, and it's grabbing. It's grabbing. If you see this spine on a bookshelf with the Starfield, it's going to grab your eye. And that was my intent with this project specifically. I'm always trying to make things catching. That is always the goal with the book covers, because it's hard enough selling a book, but you want people to at least take notice of what you've got going on. Make it stand out from the crowd. And, you know, I'll often go into bookshops just to see what's going on. And, you know, I don't know if they're going with a streamlined formula, but book covers are definitely not done traditionally the way I'm doing them. And they're all kind of like, they're using a digital approach, but like strictly digital, and kind of like mishmashing elements together to come up with these very generic looking covers. And I don't think they're very good, but that's not the way I operate. Everything is unique, one-off, and, you know, to the parameters of my clients, but I always try to push the boundaries to make it interesting for them. And then of course the back cover here, I was able to fit the text within this space. We kind of chopped the synopsis down a bit just to make it that much tighter. And this empty space, this negative space down here, accounting for the barcode and the imprint, the logo for the publisher above it. So just works out nice and clean. And yeah, there you go, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a great day. And if you enjoyed this content, consider subscribing, and I will see you next time for another video. Take care.